Hi, I'm Andy Glass with Glass Impressions. Well, I'm back again with another great holiday gift idea from Rockler. Today we're going to build this set of dominoes in this decorative storage box featuring sliding lid and box joints constructed out of walnut and hard maple. Stick around, hope you enjoy.
Let's start by making the dominoes. I'm using Rockler's veneered domino blanks. I head over to the table saw and rip them to the same width as the domino template. Before I cross-cut them to length, I'm going to install a dedicated cross-cutting blade to avoid tear-out. I use my table saw sled miter combo to accurately cut a 90-degree end, and then I'll cut it to length. I securely hold down the blank and the template to my work surface. I then can pre-drill and drive the included screws. These screws will securely hold the template to the blank and prevent it from moving during the drilling process. It also makes marking the V-notches much easier. I will show that process in a little bit. Here you can see the drill bit we will be using. It has a bushing on the tip that will register in the template and a preset stop collar to prevent drilling too deep. After all the holes are drilled, we must mark the position of the notches on the template. Use a fine pencil or even a marking knife. These marks will show us where to complete our crosscuts and ripping operations. Using the marks we just made, use a straight edge and a sharp knife to score the veneer. This will help minimize tear out in the cross-cutting operations. I cut off a little on each end where the marks were placed earlier. At the router table, I install a 1/16 inch roundover bit and round over all 4 edges. I rip the blanks in half at the table saw according to the marks we made earlier. Round over the fresh cut edges and then install a 90-degree V-bit and set the depth so it just takes the veneer layer away. Mark the middle of the workpiece and slowly run them over the bit. We can now head back to the table saw and cut the individual dominoes from the blank. As you get closer to the end of the blank, make sure you use hold downs to keep your fingers away from the blade. The fresh cut edges will need to be rounded over. Install the 1/16 inch roundover bit again and go to town. You can finish your dominoes however you'd like. I simply used a rattle can of polyurethane. It is fast drying, super easy to apply, and little preparation is needed. I laid them down on a section of cardboard, sprayed one side and let them dry. I then turned them over and sprayed the other side. Finishing can't get any easier. Don't forget to get the edges. Now it is time to build the classy domino storage box. I start by printing out the free set of plans available at rockler.com and milled my hard maple and walnut stock to 1/4 inch. At the miter saw and table saw, I ripped the parts to the dimensions that the plans called for. These parts are small, so use the appropriate safety equipment to keep your valuable fingers away from those spinning blades. The plans call for box joints, so I set up a 1/4 inch dado stack at the table saw. Box joints can be completed using a variety of methods. I am fortunate enough to have a commercial box joint jig, so that is what I'm going to use. I use my drum sander to mill stock to a 1/8 of an inch as the plans call for the top and bottom. This makes sense as I need to fit in between the fingers of the 1/4 inch box joints. If you don't have a drum sander, you can easily purchase pre-milled stock or use a planer in a homemade sled. I install a 1/8 inch straight bit at the router table to make the grooves for the top and bottom. The sides need to have stop grooves so they don't show on the ends. I pivot the workpiece on the bit and slowly plunge down. Once bottomed on the table, I proceed to move it right to left. Once I have reached the end of my cut, I pivot the workpiece off the bit. At the table saw, I cut one of the ends shorter so the top can slide in and out. I cut the bottom to length at the miter saw, and now we can glue it up. I use box joint clamping cauls available at rockler.com. These cauls come in a variety of box joint sizes. Once dried, I can insert the lid and mark where I need to cut it to length. I do this cross-cutting over at the miter saw. I do a little hand sanding on the lid to make it go in and out easier. I take the completed box to the edge sander and flush up the finger joints. This can be done by hand or even with a random orbit sander. I give a few taps to some finish nails in the top of my workbench to use as finishing points as I apply the finish to the box. This works surprisingly well. The rattle can polyurethane really makes the grain pop, and the two woods contrast each other.
Well, the domino set and storage box turned out great. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash the like button, share, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you'd like to know more information on glass impressions, I encourage you to visit my website, andyglassimpressions.com, or search me on YouTube, Glass Impressions, as I frequently release woodworking and CNC content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.